morning, everybody. Welcome to One Day Comes to Joplin on this beautiful, wonderful, rainy day, which we all need so bad. But anyway, today we're small, but we're going to be nice. We've got two good presenters, so we're going to have a good day. But
well, one. It's only Luis.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to say thanks to all of our organizers, and we have two new ones. We got Kelly Red and Crystal, so we're looking forward to getting their pictures up there and put them on the website and stuff. But good to have more help. And then again, we just want to thank our sponsors. Couldn't do it without them. And if you didn't get coffee, make sure you get some coffee before you go. Very good papers. But anyway, so Luis, either way.
He answers to both.
Whatever you want to call me.
But anyway, he has Freedom Lawn and Landscape. It's a new business, and he's going to talk to us about his story and what's going on in his business. So come on up and we'll. So you just hit that button and wait for that.
Sean?
So,
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Good morning. My name is Luis Barrett with Freedom Lawn and Landscaping. Go through these slides here and introduce my business to you. So, about our company, this is the 5 W's. I don't know if you remember from English class when they teach you the 5 W's that describe stuff. Who, what, when, where, why. Let's go through that. Who? Well, my name's Luis Barrett. I'm 19 years old. And let me tell you a little bit about my background. I'm from Neosho, Missouri. And a little bit about my background in entrepreneurship and how I got into business is I actually dropped out of high school when I was 16 and got my GED. And I just had a vision for stuff I wanted to do with my life outside of where that education was taking me. And originally I started a business pursuing photography and videography in the outdoor industry, like hunting and fishing type stuff. And I pursued that for a couple of years, and it was really cool just to travel the country, and I got to see a lot of things doing that. And I think it was really great for the growth of myself at a young age. And I just started to see that, I want to raise a family and, put my life together in one spot, and that was here in the Joplin area. And you can't really have a family and do all that when you're traveling like that. So those were my priorities, and that's kind of why I decided to start Freedom Lawn and Landscaping in this area, so I could create an income for my family and do something I'm passionate about here and be able to provide a living for my family. What is Freedom Lawn and Landscaping? Freedom Lawn and Landscaping is a full-service lawn care and landscaping company that offers lawn care, so lawn maintenance, sod, and then all the landscaping, so hardscaping, softscaping, that includes mulch, retaining walls, and we also do a little bit of dirt work, so French drains, stuff like that. When? So Freedom Lawn and Landscaping was established April of 2022 this year, and it actually, kind of a little bit of backstory of why we established it, when, I guess we'll kind of just go through these, but anyways, April, I got laid off from my construction job that I just got I knew it was going to be a dead-end job, but I just needed it to get me through the summer and kind of just make a little bit of an income so I could keep brainstorming what I was going to do. Because like I said, I've always had that entrepreneurship mind, and I knew I wanted to do something for myself. So I just decided I was going to maybe save up a little bit of money and figure something out. But I got laid off from my job, and I had no clue what I was going to do. And I decided, well, when I was like 15, 16 years old, I tried to mow lawns for, extra money on the side, and it never really worked out because I didn't really have the business knowledge I have now, like marketing and all that stuff. And I finally realized, hey, this is a really profitable business and something that I'm passionate about, and I'm outdoors, which I love to be outdoors, and I love to serve the community and just different people, and I just love interacting with customers. So I realized it's a really great opportunity for me. So I jumped into it in April of 2022, and apparently got in the right time because we're still in business. Where we serve the Joplin, kind of the Joplin surrounding area, so Joplin, Neosho, Carl Junction, Carthage, and that is kind of just the area we cover. And we're not really looking to get any farther because we need that route density. Why? I kind of explained the why, but like I said, I'm passionate about the outdoors. I love being outside, and I knew that it was just a business that I kind of had a passion for in the past, and I knew I could get back into it, and that there was there are good margins in lawn care and landscaping if you do it correctly, and that is kind of the why. Problems in the green industry. Limited payment options. I don't know if any of y'all have someone that mows your lawn or has done any sort of lawn care or outside work for you, but payment options in today's day and age with some of the companies in the area are so limited. A lot of guys are only accepting check, cash, or maybe like Venmo or PayPal or something like that, which I think we're in an era that is more than that, and we need more than that, especially in a service industry. Because when you're a service business, you need to provide the most convenient way for your customers to pay you, because ultimately you're trying to provide the most seamless transaction with these customers. So poor communication. I've noticed just with my short time in the industry, and just seeing some of the other companies in the area, and some of the problems that some customers of mine have had in the past is poor communication. Either the company not contacting you previous to showing up, or the company not ever contacting you back at all. That's something I've heard a lot from people, is that a company will literally just never give them a quote after they've requested it maybe a couple times. And I think that's a big problem. And how are you going to gain new business and grow your business if you're not even communicating back to your customer? Oh, we're lagging here. Come on. All right. Market saturation. Market saturation. What I've noticed in the area is there's so many companies, but there's not the level of professional companies I think that there needs to be. I think there's a lot of just high school kids doing it, and then there's a lot of guys that are just doing it on the side. So the market is super saturated, and a lot of the times it gets so saturated to where it's at a point to where the industry is hurt when it comes to pricing, because so many people are trying to undercut, which it might be great for a consumer, but if you're really looking for a long-term solution in terms of someone's going to cut your yard or do your services for an extended period of time, you have to charge a price that is, fair to the consumer and you, or they're not going to be in business very long, especially with the economy and the way it is now and all that stuff. So our solution to these problems: modern payment options. So the modern payment options that we have right now are, we have a 50-50 payment option, which is up front, you pay for, the lawn care season in Missouri typically is like 8 months. It goes from like March till about September, October. So we have a 50-50 payment option, which means at the beginning of the year, you pay upfront 50% of the total year's cost of what it would cost to cut your yard. And then at the end of the year, you'll pay the remainder. So you may ask, how are you going to do a 50-50 payment option if you don't know how many times you're going to cut the yard? Well, you'll pay up front 50% of the estimated cuts, and then at the end, you'll pay whatever's the remainder for how many times we actually cut your yard. Because like this year, we had a drought, so a lot of the yards aren't getting cut on a weekly basis. So that is one of the first payment options we have. The other is monthly billing. So you do monthly billing. And all these are credit card payment options. So to have a seamless, super easy system with your customer, and to make it, just stress-free and hassle-free, you have to have credit card payment options, some sort of online payment, because it's 2022. We can't be handing checks in cash. Y'all are working, we're working. That's just not efficient. And then weekly payment options. Of course, we can still offer weekly payments, so if you still want to make the weekly payment as we cut, you can do that as well. But all of our payment options are online to provide the most seamless experience to the consumer. Consistent, reliable communication. I think this is one of the most make or break things when it comes to having a service business. especially in 2022, you gotta have consistent, reliable communication. If you're not communicating with your customer, you are no doubt gonna lose to your competition. Because if you have a competition that's more professional and communicating better with their customers, you're gonna lose because they're getting the quotes faster, they're getting back to their customers, they're telling them when they're gonna show up, and they're telling them, if there's any cancellations, anything like that. So that is definitely one thing that we are implementing and making sure we are good about is consistent, reliable communication. I think all of you can attest that's probably very important when it comes to hiring anyone to do any work at your house. Small company values, large company professionalism. Going back to the problems in the industry, like we said, market saturation. The problem with market saturation is you're going to have a lot of guys that, and I'm not knocking them because everyone starts there, but you are going to have a lot of guys that kind of are just doing it for a side gig, a side job, just to make a little extra income, and that's totally cool and fine. But what we are trying to do is keep the small company values, so taking care of the customer and putting them first, but still having that large company professionalism and structure. So what I mean by that is, you have these big kind of box brand, lawn care companies out there that are, all over all 50 states doing lawn care. So kind of our goal and our mission is to keep the small company values, our morals, our values, just good old boys from here in Joplin, Missouri, but still have that large company professionalism. I think that's really important, especially when you're trying to relate to your customer, especially in a smaller town like we live in, but also have the professionalism and the structure to keep a very large company so you can be running for many years. Our customers. Who are our customers? So the everyday homeowner. The everyday homeowner is definitely one of our customers. Whether you own a small house, a big house, doesn't matter. Also, renters. If you're a renter, we can definitely service you as well. Real estate investors. Real estate investors, we love to work with them. Whether it may be getting a flip property up to what it needs to be to put it on the market, or just a rental that needs maintenance every week. We definitely do all of that. Businesses, so whether it be a bank, a restaurant, whatever it may be, we definitely service businesses, whether it be landscaping or weekly lawn maintenance. We can service them all. So we really like to be a one-stop shop for any consumer in the market for lawn care, landscaping, exterior services like that. Our competition, a term in the green industry is chuck in a truck, and what I mean by that is the guy that, kind of like I was saying earlier, in the saturated market we have, is the guy it's just a one guy in his truck, and he has one mower, one weed eater, he's just going around mowing people's yards, kind of a side gig. That's definitely some of our competition, and trying to compete with that is the professionalism that we do have. I believe that our pricing really reflects our professionalism. So yes, the chuck in the truck may be able to offer you a lower price, but is he going to have that communication? Maybe not. Maybe he will. Is he going to have the everyday professionalism? Is he going to show up, looking very unprofessional on your property? You're not really sure who he is or what his background is. So that is the chuck in the truck that I am talking about. Temporary service providers is like your high school kids that are going to be mowing your yards, which everyone starts there. So definitely not dogging on them. I've been there. And then kind of going back to the chuck in the truck guy, just the guy that's doing it as a side job. I really think these are temporary service providers. And the reason I put temporary service providers on there is because these service providers aren't going to be doing it long term. Our goal in this is to be if we start mowing your yard 20 years ago, we want to be mowing your yard in 20 years. And to do that we really have to reflect accurate market prices and just keep our professionalism to a level that allows us to keep doing that for long term. Other professional service providers. So I'm not going to stand up here and say that we're the only professional service provider in the Joplin area, because we're not. There's plenty of great lawn care and landscaping providers that are definitely well known and reputable. So I'm not going to stand up here and say that we are, the best by any means or anything like that. I think we are one of the options for professional service providers in the area that will be around for a long time in the area. So, our marketing, did I skip one? No, all right. Our marketing plan. So, coming from a marketing background with photography and videography, I definitely think I have a good foot in the door when it comes to marketing for this business. I've done a lot of research in the industry and figured out, kind of how you scale this business pretty quick. And I think that's why I've been successful this year, even though it was kind of a last minute deal I put together. But every door direct mail postcards, this is one of the best ways as a lawn care business and landscaping business to really gain new customers and just get awareness out there, because all of you guys get junk mail in the mail, and sure, you may throw it away, but they say it takes 7 touches to a person to really gain their business. And I think if you see our name once on a postcard and we can touch you 6 more times, who are you going to call when you need landscaping and lawn care? I think will definitely be in the back of your mind. So that's kind of our goal with that. Of course, you are going to get leads from that, but really more the goal with that is just to put our face out there and show you who we are. Door hangers and yard signs. This is some of the most effective marketing in the lawn care industry that's so overlooked nowadays. Everyone thinks everything's digital. Yes, and maybe. Yeah, it is digital to some extent. But door hangers and yard signs are still such a staple in outdoor service businesses. And door knocking as well. I mean, door knocking is still such a underrated thing when it comes to having a service-based business. So, social media marketing, like I said, with my background in photography and videography, I kind of had a foot in the door in the beginning. So when it comes to social media marketing, I think we have a really good start. We're definitely looking to get a little bit further into really optimizing ads and stuff to get to our target customer. But when it comes to photography and videography and just having a good brand image out there, I think we're doing really well, especially for our staging business. Community outreach and networking. One thing I've noticed with a semi-small town, I mean, Joplin's not huge, we're not Dallas or anything like that, but we are a city. So I think community outreach and networking is great. Stuff like this, different chamber events and stuff like that is definitely super important to our business, because face-to-face connections and word of mouth is never going to end. That's definitely always a great, reliable source of marketing. But community outreach, when I talk about that, I'm talking like a goal of mine is to go into neighborhoods that we are servicing and maybe throw like block parties for the kids in the area, and to make it seem like, I want to give back just as much as I'm receiving. And I believe that, throwing block parties and stuff like that, or, putting on any event for kids to come out and hang out, or families to come hang out and just really gain something from us is a great way to market, but also just to, give back and help other families and provide a fun, safe place to hang out. Our competitive advantage, time and longevity. Like I said, I'm 19 years old. Don't plan on dying anytime soon, so I think I'm gonna be around. But I think my age allows me to have the longevity that I want and the long-term goal. Everyone wants overnight success. It's not reality. And I think a lot of times why you see these lawn care companies pop up and then 2 or 3 years down the road they're out of business is because there's a lot of overhead and there's a lot of cost and expense to it. And if you're not seeing the return on investment really fast, a lot of people jump out of the business. I'm here for the long haul, and this isn't my only business. So thankfully, it's not my only business. So I'm allowed to have a little bit of investment behind it that helps me keep that time and longevity in the business. Access to large labor pool. Like I said, I'm a pretty young guy, so I know a lot of kids that I either went to high school with, or a lot of families that are from Neosho, where I grew up, that have kids or something that can help us out. It's not rocket science to weed eat or something like that. So having access to a large labor pool that it's really helpful, because right now I'm sure some of you know that the labor pool is dwindling. There's not a lot of people out there to work. It's really hard to find someone to hire that's actually going to show up and do the job. access to capital for rapid growth strategies. Like I said, on time and longevity, I do have another business, so, and that is just seasonal in the winter. So the fact that I have access to the capital from that business that I can invest back into this business does help me grow pretty rapidly, and I think that's why we've been successful this year, is because I do have the capital in the back end to put into this to really make the investment into this business to where we have the quality of the big guys. So definitely thankful for that. Our problems. One of our problems was we had a late start to the 2022 season. So April, you're already into the mowing season. You're definitely, I mean, your grass is already being cut. So if you haven't already hired a guy, you're probably already looking to hire someone. So it was kind of hard to get good clients from the start, just because a lot of people already signed up back in February, March. So that was one kind of problem we ran across. Drought conditions equals lack of cash flow. I'm sure most of you know it didn't rain for like 2 months here this summer. So we didn't have much cash flow from June through July, and we really had to scramble to, get some jobs lined up just so we could keep afloat. But luckily I'm not, I don't have a ton of employees yet, so I don't have to really feed a lot of mouths right now. Community awareness. One thing that we've kind of ran across is it's a very niche-y community here. Like, you really have to get into different rooms to really get community awareness. So unless you're really in all the rooms, you don't have the community awareness you need. So definitely kind of the community awareness has been a struggle. We really are trying to get better about that, so I want everyone in Joplin to, at least know who we are. So when that pops up that they do have that problem with, water standing in their yard, or they do have their lawn guy's gone, they know who to call, and I think community awareness is the answer for gaining all the new clients. What do I need from you all today? I need real feedback from consumers and the community. So the good, the bad, the ugly, and what needs changed about the green industry and lawn care and landscaping providers. So if anyone has questions or can raise their hand about, if you've ever experienced at any point in the past someone that's either mowed your yard, done landscaping for you, or any sort of outdoor service for you, what was one thing that they did bad? What was one thing they did good, and something that they did that was just completely and utterly terrible? So that's kind of just what I need. I just need the feedback so I know what we can build off of and do better than everyone else. So.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, who has some questions, please?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, sure. Well, first of all, congratulations on being a young entrepreneur.
Thank you.
You're the second person I know of that's 19 that has started a business, and I'm not saying this to inflate your ego or anything, but for the age that you are, to be as focused on where you're at is impressive, and I just wish you the very best. And at some point in time, I'd like to sit down and visit with you about your business and show you what resources we have at the Joplin Chamber for new entrepreneurs and startup businesses. So I'll get with you and get my contact information.
Yeah, love that.
So just on the note of your experiences, I had some bad experiences this year. Because I wanted a service done, and I had to go through 4 different companies before I found one that, number one, communicated at all.
Yep.
Number 2, the service that they did do was awful. And anyway, so yeah, the need for quality services definitely out there.
Once again, congratulations, like Doug said. It's awesome to see a 19-year-old that, wants to have his own business and do his own things without being in a dead-end job, and then recognizing that, hey, this is a dead-end job. It's not going to get me to where I want to be. So congratulations to that.
Thank you.
I think that my question is this, I've never hired anybody to mow my lawn, but I have seen other people do this same thing. I guess my question is, the reason I never have is, price. So how do you base your prices, for one? I know you probably have to come out and look at the yard. I own a construction company, so I completely understand.
Yeah.
But is there like a base price, like that you start with? You know, I think one of my biggest things is my wife likes to plant flowers and things like that. You know, do you have like guarantees that if somebody weed eats a flower down, you know, is it something that you guys take care of or something like that? Cause I think that would be a big issue. My neighbor had that. She hired a company and their guys she came out running, you know, yelling at him, hey, stop, like I told you not to weed eat over there, you know, when she fired him on the spot. So I guess, you know, for me, the reason I never have is because maybe I've never really looked into it just because I've known people that have bad experiences. And then once again, the price of it, you know, how do you base your prices, and where do you go from there?
Yeah.
Would be my question, and I think that, you know, and I might be the only person in the room for that. But for me, the reason I never have reached out is because, for one, I can mow my own yard. So why would I need you to mow it?
Yeah.
I guess is the big question that probably a lot of people have. Why do I need to hire somebody to come take care of my yard?
Yeah.
So,
Well, to answer your question about the pricing, generally I don't share it with, you know, our consumer, because then because they're all, yeah, you know how it is with a construction company. But in a room like this, I'll definitely share that. How we do the pricing is kind of based off of, you know, what we need to make hourly to be a profitable business and to stay in business and to really thrive. And so basically, I look at a lawn, I'll go out and quote it, I'll look at it, or I'll look at it from Google Maps, kind of like, you know, the cookie cutter houses, like true residential houses, those we can quote those from Google Maps. It's not hard. They actually have a program online that measures out the square footage and everything, and I can give a pretty easy quote like that. When it comes to any more like complex yards to where there's, you know, more trees or anything like that, or just bigger yards, I go out and quote it, and I've been doing it, you know, long enough now that I know how long it takes to kind of do everything. So I'll just look at it and say, you know, this will take an hour, and then based off of that hour, what do I need to make in an hour to be profitable and, you know, stay in business and pay everybody and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I price it. When it comes down to, sometimes we'll have like very dense routes in a certain area. So if we have 20 yards in a neighborhood, we're not driving. I mean, we barely have to drive to get to each yard. So we are able to offer a more competitive price in a neighborhood like that, because all the yards are a lot closer. So we're not using gas to get to and from them, and there's no time in between. So the biggest struggle in the industry is you have to have a route, a very dense route, or you're losing money, because you're not getting paid while you're in a truck. I mean, when you drive to a construction site, you're not getting paid to drive your truck there. So that 15 minutes between each yard really adds up. And if that, at the end of the day, that's an hour or 2 hours that you're sitting in a truck, you just lost, you know, whatever that is you make, you know, per hour. And so that's kind of how we do that. So in a very dense route, we can offer a better price. If we have to drive, you know, 30 minutes out of town to go service your yard, it's going to be a more expensive price just with fuel and everything like that, and the time it takes you to get there. So that's kind of how we, you know, do our pricing.
So I was just gonna talk about the route thing, but, I have a landscape guy down around the lake.
Mhm.
And, you know, you can drive forever down there.
Yeah.
But, he has a program, so when they put all their customers in there, and then they have like you said, a route.
Yeah.
So they literally have a route, but they can take the spots, and they basically start at the building, and then they make a big circle and go around. That way they're not wasting that windshield time.
Yeah, exactly.
So that they can get the maximum out of the flow. So that route thing is a
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, we actually
huge
use a similar route program that helps us keep our routes dense like that.
Hey, so, I mean, congrats on that, whatever, sorry, but like, exactly what you did right there is why I don't hire service providers like that.
Yeah.
Like, give me a price, like, I don't care how many other yards you service in my neighborhood. I wanna know your base hourly price,
Mhm.
and then if there's a travel fee, there's a travel fee.
Yeah.
Like, that's it, and then base hourly price for like mowing and weeding. If I want other stuff done, like add-ons, like edging, or other types of services, have an actual price for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's part of the communication, and the fact that you said you don't want to share your pricing model with your consumers is exactly what shuts consumers off from wanting to hire services like that. It shouldn't be different for everyone. Have a base price for your consumer. Do it per square foot or per hour or per complexity. Have a core service and then add-ons. And be open and transparent about that. That's part of your professionalism and communication model that you're saying you're better at than everyone else. But I haven't seen it. You're also not dressed very professionally. So, like, it's contradictory. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay? Not to be too hard on you.
No, you're good.
You're
I
doing
love
great
it.
so far, it's
I'm glad.
new, but,
Yep.
Will you come back to his question about why we need to hire you instead of just doing it ourselves?
Yeah. To answer that question, I mean, you can talk to a lot of lawn care providers in just the industry as a whole across the United States, but the people we're going after to gain their business aren't people that are mowing their own yard. Because like you said, you mow your yard and you're capable of mowing your yard, and you probably don't mind it to an extent. Like, I don't mind going out and mowing my yard and listening to music while I do it. It's not that big of a deal. It's kind of relaxing, to be honest. So I think every guy, to an extent, some guys don't, but like to go out and mow their yard. So you're not like our target customer, because like you said, you can do it and you don't mind doing it. Who we're after is people that have already hired the services before, or people who have been doing it and they're fed up to a point where they're just like, oh, I just don't want to do it, or it's hot outside, I just don't want to do it. So that's the people we're trying to get, the people that are tired of doing it, or the people that are have already hired the service out before. So, you know, I don't think any lawn care business is ever gonna win over a person that's, you know, doing it themselves, because to a point, let's just say it costs $45 to mow your yard. What does that $45 mean to you? If $45 is, you know, too much to, I mean, if you can go mow your yard in 20 minutes and it's gonna cost me $45 to do it for you, like, is 20 minutes worth $45 to you? So I think it's relative to every person. Some people, 20 minutes is worth $45. Some people, 20 minutes is not worth $45. Personally, 20 minutes to mow my own yard is not worth $45 to me, because I'm not at that level in life. I can't spend $45 for 20 minutes of a service. So I hope that answers the question.
And to touch back though on her point,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, kind of like she said, you know, if I could get on a company's website and you know, with the disclaimer, you know, like I said, I understand, you know, it's not the same, but it is.
Yeah.
You know, with the disclaimer of, like, if you have a yard that's a regular yard and we charge, you know, this much per square foot to mow your yard,
Mhm.
because you figured out how much gas it takes, how much this, you know, so if we charge $15 to mow 100 square feet, you know, 10 by 10 area, whatever,
Mhm.
you know, and then I can go, okay, so they're gonna charge me this amount
Yeah.
to come out here and mow my yard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because sometimes that might be worth it to me, because I have 2 businesses as well, I'm super busy, and as much as I enjoy to mow my yard, I don't always have time to mow it.
Yeah.
So in the same aspect of you saying, well, you know, you can mow your yard, that, yes, I can, but I don't always have time to mow my yard.
Mhm.
And if I could, you know, if I'm running short on time and my yard's growing up and I don't have time to go out there and weed eat it or do anything, and I could call somebody and say, hey, you mind coming and taking care of my yard this week? And you say, yeah, you know, and I know I can have an idea of how much it will cost. Plus, that kind of might cut down on your time, because people will kind of have an idea already. You know, for a basic yard that doesn't have, you know, a ton of stuff going on in it. 'Cause I mean, I understand, people have flowers and gardens and all this stuff, and you gotta go.
Yeah.
But if you can go out there and say, okay, well, here's the base price, but because you have this and this and this, we're gonna have to do these add-ons to make sure that we don't cut down any flowers, that we don't get grass all in your garden, that we don't do all this stuff. Man, that's perfect.
Yeah.
But just to know that it's gonna cost $150 to come out and mow my yard, man, that might be worth it to me one week if I
Mhm.
knew that, kind of had an idea. So to be different, that might be something you look at. I mean, it might not, but it might. You could go on the website and say, okay, we charge this much per square foot for a basic yard that's not overgrown.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, have like a 6-inch minimum, 4-inch minimum, like, you know, your yard's 2 foot tall, you know, we're gonna charge you extra, because that's gonna take a while to get down. But if it's
Yeah.
just a basic yard that was mowed the week before, you just don't have time to do it this week. So, you know, like, have an inch minimum that, you know, your mower can take care of and do a good job at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and have those things on there, and that way if somebody rebuts you, you can say, no, look, this is what it says.
Yeah.
It might be more of a headache, it might not, but it might give you more business, because people are like, okay, it's gonna cost me this much to mow my yard, because I have a basic yard that's not overgrown, I don't have a ton of stuff going on, I just don't have time. And in that same sense, if you do a good job and the price is fair, dude, I might let you mow my yard all year long, because I can do other stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
The only problem with that, I mean, and I'm gonna defend him a little bit, is you can't necessarily have that cut and dry number,
That's why I
okay?
said disclaimers.
Cut and dry number. I was-
Well, I'd like to,
Because, I mean, if you live on the outskirts of town, and he's gotta drive 10 minutes out to your place, and then 10 minutes back into town, you know, then he's gotta be able to factor that in as well. So having just that, static number of this is what it would cost for a yard this size, well, no, there's more that goes into it than just that. And so
Right, travel
you
time.
can't
You
necessarily
can, you
have the model that
absolutely
you
can.
described
It's
in
2022.
that kind of
You can.
business.
Yeah.
Where,
There's data.
like in your business, you know what your costs are because you know what your ingredients are, you know
knows
where
what his
your hard
costs are
numbers
too.
are at.
He knows how many people will need per square foot, like,
He
he knows
does,
his
but,
costs.
but if he's doing an area and you live, but you, let's say,
Travel
use this
surcharge.
scenario, I'm sorry?
Travel upcharge or whatever, and then if, gas is going crazy and super expensive, have a gas fee. Like, I mean, these are things that you can do in a modern society.
I wanna reply to what you just said. I totally agree with the base price for on the website, because it makes sense, because if you can have a base price and just show on the website, this is the minimum what it will cost, then people are gonna know if you're even in the realm of what, because if they're thinking, oh, this might cost me $20, and then they reach out and you're like, oh no, it's gonna cost 45, then they're already out of the ballpark at that point. So if I guess I could start off and just put on my website what the base cost is nothing less than this to cut and weed eat and blow a yard, which I will be upfront and honest right now, the base price, we will not cut a yard for less than $45 on a weekly schedule. There's not profit in it at less than $45, and there's no point in cutting for less than $45. So that's our base price. So yes, we do have, kind of a base price for what we cut, but the reason I say it depends on hourly, I guess, and stuff like that is because there are a ton of factors that go into a yard. Yes, I could say, a Schubert house that's, their average sized house will cost $45 to, mow that yard. That's what they're all averaging right now. But then you have the lady that, has 20 fruit trees in her backyard. I can't cut a yard for $45, you have 20 fruit trees, and I also can't go in on my website and say, hey, there's a surcharge for this size fruit tree, $5, and that's just, there's so much, you're putting so much to a customer, it makes it confusing, and you gotta be simple. So I think that's why from the get-go, it's easy just to, like you said, maybe just do a base price. And then if you want any more information on top of that from a base price, that's where it comes person-to-person contact. I come out and quote your yard, because I think if you do provide too much information to a consumer, you just confuse them and you deter them from the service, because there's too many numbers. I'm sorry, but you don't want to go on my website and read 40 different line items of what it's going to cost to mow your yard. You just want to have someone come out and quote your yard. So
To speak to that, I'll give it to you. Me first. I think to try to put a nice bow on what both of them are trying to say is try to come up with a ballpark number. If it takes you 20 minutes to drive from Neosho to Joplin, calculate that, calculate the time it would spend on a half-acre lawn or whatever your average size lawn is, and say, as a disclaimer on wherever you put this, from here, and don't put all the details of what went into the price, just say on the average size lawn with minimal 2-3 trees, it's this amount of acreage, it should be about this price, and that gives the consumer an idea of where you are with the competition, because they're not gonna just go with you. I've got fancy grass and sprinkler system, all that stuff. I've called 5 people before to try to get, an estimate for something. So if I didn't have to call you and your number I thought would either be cheaper or more than or whatever, I'd be more willing to go with you if I thought you might be cheaper and I didn't even have to call you.
Yeah.
I could just say, hey, dude, come do this for me? Because, and again, to speak to the communication problem, I won't even go into what I dealt with, but I essentially told this guy not to come, and then he came, and then he cried to me because I didn't tell him why I didn't want him to come. I don't have to tell you why, I
Yeah.
didn't want you to come anymore, and it was because he was more expensive.
Yeah.
He was double the price of another guy, but again, I had to scroll through Google to try to figure out who could do the specific thing. And secondarily, why I have the mic, is digital. I would focus a lot on your Facebook and a lot on a website that I didn't see. Did you have a website?
Yeah, I do have a website, I didn't list it up there. We
I
have a
couldn't
Facebook
find
as well.
it, so I will work on that.
Okay.
I don't know if that's SEO or something that you need to do.
Definitely, we definitely need to step our SEO, we haven't even dabbled with
Yeah.
that.
And so, in speaking to the 2-month drought, come up with some creative ways that a consumer or a customer, someone scrolling on Facebook, come up with a way that might help us keep our lawn green. Or like, you know, come up with some tips, create some content. You know, you talk about your videography and stuff like that. Use that on your social media. You know, I see your pictures, but create some TikToks, man.
Yeah.
I love watching weed eating TikToks. I don't know why.
Yeah. It's just satisfying.
I mean,
yeah.
do you see those on Facebook?
Yeah.
The lawn mowing guy's just got the GoPro on his head and he weed eats that beautiful, I could watch that all day long.
Yeah.
Do that stuff on your Facebook,
Yeah.
and your website if it is there. And I will work on making that visible too. Because I couldn't find it. I searched Google and Facebook, but I couldn't find you on Google. And
Yeah.
ask for reviews. Always
Yes.
ask for a review.
Yep.
I saw one on Google.
Mhm.
Bump those numbers up. I'm here.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
So to address a couple of different things, do you have like a schedule that you work from, like certain days you're in Joplin, certain days you're in Neosho, certain, whatever that may be? If you kind of state that in your pricing areas, it makes it easier to have a flat price, like this is, you know, the day that we work Joplin, or this is the day. So it kind of alleviates saying drive time and different things. You know, if it's a special request, of course, there's gonna be charges for drive time or whatever that may be.
Yeah.
But to the point of people not getting back with you, which is so irritating, do you have a method that you address each person requesting a quote, or how do you go about that exactly?
Yeah,
When
so-
somebody requests a quote?
Our system that, I kinda go through that I was telling Lowell about, that has our routing and everything. It's, it's just a customer database that has all of our customers' info in it. And, that right there, that's where we get like all of our inquiries about like lawn care, lawn maintenance, anything like that. And that's kind of where we go from, and that's basically, it's a form basically, and they fill out their phone number, their name, email, and a little description of whatever they're asking about. And then from there, we have all those there right on our site, and on that, we can plug all that information into our customer database to where we can go, let's say, we go quote their yard, well, we put it into the quotes folder, and that quote turns into a lead and they close business. Well, that closed business goes to the customer tab, and now they are on the customer tab, which makes it super seamless on our end. I think the reason there's so many issues with the reason these guys aren't getting back, or they're just not, it doesn't seem modern or seamless at all, is because they're not using modern or seamless options. I mean, it's out there. There's multiple platforms that people can use. They're just not utilizing, I think. And I think that's where they fail. People are still on pen and paper. Most of these lawn companies are still on pen and paper. You're gonna lose if you're on pen and paper.
What's your turnaround time on request for quote and quotation?
A week.
A week?
Yeah,
So
within a week.
the expectation could be put out there, on your website. You'll have your quote back within X amount of time. Because if I don't hear from you in 3 to 4 days, and I'm, hosting a family event at my house, and it took you a week to get back with me, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of, if it acknowledges that I've requested a quote, that's nice, but even better, if I get a call back and say, I will be out there on XY day to quote this for you, more than often than not, you're gonna have somebody that's going to continue with their request.
Yeah.
Because they can count on it. They've had those touches that you were talking about before.
Yeah.
When it takes a week for you to get back with me, for a quote, I've already changed my mind and moved on to 2 at the
Yeah. I agree. I think a lot of times when you're looking for a provider, I mean, like I think someone said here on Google, looking for us. On Google, what they're doing is they're searching a lawn care provider. They see one guy, call him, don't hear back. They pick the next guy, call him. Yeah, they want results now, and I totally agree. I think that's something we need to work on. One thing I want to say is, in the future, like I said, I have another business, so this isn't my only income. So I'm trying to reinvest back in this as much as I can, whether that be, more staff to take on that role. Like marketing and, you know, just communications is like a role in itself. Like if we had one person doing that role for the company, I think we would grow tenfold like that. But with myself and like 2 guys part-time, you know, just helping us do the service itself, I'm taking on that workload of communicating and doing the whole deal, which, you know, in the next year, I'm really hoping to hire it out, because it's not, I can't scale to the level I want to scale when I'm doing that, because I'm out there having to, you know, basically do the service itself as well. So I definitely agree, and definitely trying to, and quoting, you know, same day.
Yeah, if you don't have that callback, I mean, the average, the national average is 72 hours. If you haven't heard a callback in 72 hours, you've moved on.
Yeah.
You're looking for something else.
I'd like to have our phone, if when it rings, I'd like it to be picked up every single time, so I think that's definitely something we need to hire. Yep.
I wanna echo that too, like, I hire somebody to mow the library lawn,
Mhm.
the person we have currently, like, every time I call him, he answers my call no matter what he's doing. I can hear the weed eater, I can hear the other people mowing,
Yeah.
like immediately he answers the phone. It's like, yeah, have a good day, like, how can I help, and no matter what, and I love that level of service, and you know, sometimes I say, I know you're busy, if you could just call me back later day, that would be great.
Mhm.
But I wanna just echo, like, just getting